Hi, this is Uribe. I wanted to share my experience in Practicum and Institutional Research and Assessment with Marymount University. Just a little bit about Marymount. Marymount is a small private Catholic university located in Arlington, Virginia, about 6 miles from Washington, D.C. It's located in a vibrant area with lots of diversity and access to politics, history, art, culture, professional connections, and organizations. It offers a comprehensive liberal arts education, and it does offer a focus on career preparation. It has 4 schools in design, arts, and humanities, business and technology, sciences, mathematics, and education, and the College of Health Professions. It was founded in 1950 and regionally accredited by SACSCOC. Total enrollment is 3,418 students. Of that, undergraduate students come up to 2,287. There are 1,131 graduate students, 166 full-time faculty, and a student-faculty ratio of 13:1. Their retention rate is about 72%, and their 6-year graduation rate is about 53% overall. This is the Office of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness, also known as the PIE Office, P-I-E. Together, this team provides data and analysis on student enrollment, retention, graduation, faculty, and staffing. They're also responsible for managing the assessment processes on campus to improve student learning outcomes and the student experience. My practicum supervisor is Ann Boudinot, the Director of Assessment. So I spent the majority of my time working directly for her on various activities and projects. These were the activities that I was able to participate in as a part of my experience. Though it doesn't seem like much, it required a lot of intellectual labor, learning how to use Qualtrics and SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Sciences, combing through and analyzing massive amounts of data for frequencies, cross-tabulations, correlations, coding qualitative data from open-ended survey questions, and finally creating meaningful reports from the survey findings. These activities were the most time-consuming, but what I felt were the most rewarding parts of the practicum. So in drafting learning outcomes, effective learning outcomes are usually expressed as knowledge, skills, or abilities that students will possess upon successful completion of a program. They provide guidance for faculty regarding content, instruction, and evaluation and serve as the basis for ensuring program effectiveness. Because we evaluate student performance in terms of specific actions, the strongest learning outcomes are measurable and observable. That was one thing that was stressed to me. It has to be measurable and needs to be observable. I had the opportunity to draft learning outcomes for an academic program at the very beginning of my practicum. While it isn't normally one of the duties of the PIE office, it was challenging to develop these learning outcomes with no knowledge of the program or its content. I think what really surprised me about this activity was that it landed in the PIE office to help the program faculty because they didn't know how to formulate the outcomes either. So to help the faculty, the PIE office assisted with drafting these learning outcomes, and they put up a lot of their resources on a web page. Specifically, they put up a copy of Bloom's Revised Taxonomy and a list of action verbs to help with drafting these outcomes for departments. The importance of this is that when assessment and accreditation time comes around, the program goals are clearly articulated, or faculty learn how to clearly articulate these program goals, and the curriculum and activities can be identified, observed, and measured. Part of the assessment office's activities are to manage and report assessment across the university. So understanding how to write these learning outcomes helped me understand the importance in assessment and its processes. Surveys are used to collect data across the university. They're sent to students, faculty, and staff and alumni for the data to be used for decision making, not just to improve student experiences, but to also improve administrative processes. Marymount has a rotating schedule of assessment activities they conduct throughout the academic year. They currently run annual assessments, but have the option for a biennial or every 2 years assessment for programs that continually to do well with their assessment processes and outcomes. Among the assessments conducted for each academic program or major, they also conduct administrative unit assessments as well to find what is working well in Marymount's administration and what needs improvement. During this practicum, I was able to participate in identifying outcomes noted in the previous slide and analyze and interpret their data. In my data analysis activities, I received a crash course in SPSS, or the Statistical Package for Social Sciences. Again, it was the most time-consuming and labor-intensive activity because I'm still very new to SPSS and statistics. I have 0 statistics experience, no classes, and there was just so much data to go through and view and analyze. The software helps Marymount to analyze specific data from their surveys and to mine for data as well. Most of my time was spent on the Multi-Institutional Study of Leadership survey and analyzing frequencies, cross-tabulations, or the relationship between multiple variables, t-tests, or comparing the means between 2 groups on the same dependent variable, or ANOVA, or analysis of variance to look at the differences in the means of a dependent variable associated with the effect of a controlled independent variable, and looking at correlations or measuring the strength and direction, positive or negative, of an association that exists between 2 variables. Another intensive part of the practicum was reporting. Reporting is difficult because you need to know your audience and how to convey what you find in the data analysis in ways that your audience can derive meaning from it. Part of this activity was time-consuming because I was instructed to follow a direction with reporting, and then after a few weeks, other factors needed to be considered, such as a student's Pell Grant status or their generational status. There are other factors to consider as well. So these factors needed to be analyzed alongside the data that was collected, and there were times that the director decided to change directions with the format of the report, so I would need to scrap my report or change what I was working on. Marymount reports results in several ways. They create written reports such as executive summaries. They give presentations to leadership on their findings, and they make their findings publicly available on their website. Because Marymount is a small university, the PI office does not have adequate personnel resources for creating more visual types of reporting such as posters, flyers, and infographics. Excuse me. For the outside activities, I observed the University Assessment Committee meetings. Though it is assessment related, it falls under leadership and governance because it involved different leaders from all over campus working together to build a more systemic culture of assessment, helping to train and educate assessment coordinators and find ways to improve assessment and reporting on campus, and they ultimately delivered a final report to the university president. For academic affairs, I learned about the admissions office and some of the challenges that they face. With my existing experience in the academic side, I really get to see how students navigate their way through the admissions process. Because student enrollment has been declining at Marymount, learning more about their recruitment practices and how they measure and assess them gives me perspective on what I can do in assessments and research to help them inform their decision-making and practice. I also learned about the advising office and their functions. Though I already have advising experience, I learned that in advising there can be multiple ways to define at-risk students and different ways to provide targeted support for student success outside of the normal peer tutoring, writing center type of suggestions. Meeting with the Title IX coordinator was an eye-opening experience as well. Even though it is a small private Catholic university, it is not immune to sexual assault and dating violence. Actually, the Title IX coordinator was very busy investigating several reports made to her office, which made it very difficult to meet with her. Eventually, I was able to meet with her and learn more about reporting and what we can do as administrators to help better support students and educate them about sexual misconduct. The Financial Affairs Office. I learned that because it is so large and touches on nearly every part of the university, it has a huge undertaking in facing challenges that all of their constituent units face, such as being under-resourced, having adequate training, and the use of professional CAS standards to measure their effectiveness. In conclusion, some of the skills I gained touches both the academic and student affairs sides of higher education. Reviewing all the assessment reports from the different departments and units helped me to become more familiar with program evaluation and how it's used to drive improvement. Just being able to observe the efforts the PI office goes through to develop a culture of assessment helped me to realize the magnitude of their work. It is constant, continual, and just simply encouraging administrators to not focus on the reporting aspect of assessment, but to use it as an opportunity to reflect on their work annually or as often as they need to find ways to improve if needed. Though I did not discuss research design, I noticed that surveys involve some sort of theory or framework that informed the purpose of collecting data. Lastly, I learned how important statistics and analyzing them correctly and tailoring your reports according to your audience are. This part, like I mentioned, was the most challenging part of my practicum and the most rewarding because I learned a lot and received a lot of hands-on experience. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.